Go ahead and start at 6:30, so we're gonna begin our Parks and Recreation meeting for the month of August. I just want to start out by saying welcome to our new member, Jim Simon. Jim, I'm gonna have you introduce, well, you go ahead and introduce yourself, please.
Okay,
Let everybody know.
like Barry said, my name's Jim Simmons. Happy to be here. Grew up in Canby, went to school. Raised my family here now, and we have a small farm that's just outside of the town. So we're pretty ingrained in all of Canby, and parks are pretty important. So look forward to working with all you guys. Awesome. Well, thank you.
All right, I'm gonna start over here with introductions for people that are on our board, so please.
Me?
Yes,
I'm Phil Champion. I'm a resident of Locust.
okay,
I'm Mary Jo and I live on Territorial.
all right.
I'm Sue Michigan and I live on Mount Court.
Same here, not core, right on the border of the park, right there, the first cul-de-sac.
Okay. Would you be in the Dodge development?
Yeah, we are.
Okay.
I'm right there.
Right there.
Kirk Ennis, live on Knott Court in the dock development, the 3 houses in from the park.
Okay.
I'm Kim Envis, they also live at Kirk. I'm not Florida. Very excited about the park. We have grandkids.
Absolutely, absolutely. Okay. Online, we have Jerry.
Gina.
There's
Jerry's house.
oh, Jerry's house. Gina, can you give us your last name, please?
Hello, my name is Gina Dubois.
Can you?
Bamba, B-A-U-M-B-A-U-G-H. And I too live on Knott Court next door to Kirk and Sue and Robert and Kim.
Okay.
And I'm Phil.
Kathy C.
Hi, yeah, I'm Kathy Champion, married to the guy in the back. Right there. We live on Locust, 3 houses down from where the park will be.
That's it, right? Okay, that seems to be it. All right, so let's go ahead and begin. I need to get a motion to approve our July minutes. Everybody's had a chance to go through them, maybe not Jim, I don't know. Did you get the minutes? You did not, okay. So can I get a motion to approve our July minutes?
I will.
Kara, and a second. Ryan Oliver, seconds. All in favor, say aye. All right, minutes have been approved for July. All right, we will move on to our monthly Parks Department update. No Jeff, no Jerry, it is now Ken Daniel.
Yeah, yes, good to see everybody. Start with the old business discussion, the first one on the list, if anybody needs. I've got a few copies of the agenda. If you need one, or you can take one if you like, but you know.
You people have one? Oh, let's get this one all in.
Anybody need anything?
You guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you guys, thank you. Anybody else? Okay. Okay. Auburn Farms comes up first. The discussion on the public outreach survey compiled has come back. I do have a copy of a little bit of that. If you don't, on my copies, you kind of give a little bit of a general overview of what came back on that and what people have said for items consideration, etc. So that's kind of the tip of the iceberg. So with that, there's about 570 responses on that survey, and that's a pretty good turnout according to the survey that I just on. And basically, when I looked at it, what really poked out on that was having this playground equipment be ADA accessible. Of course, maybe you can have some equipment that's, you know, for the handicap. We really don't have those in the parks. We have accessibility, but we don't have any playground equipment just for that. I have perfect value to see that. A lot of things that jumped out too with this was kind of open spaces. I know everybody has their opinions on what they want in the park, but these are just ones that kind of stood out with me. The tennis court was kind of popular that I noticed, and different equipment for kind of our equipment. Separate locus is getting outdated, but it'd be kind of cool to see something entirely different as a play structure, if that's to be in there. Something more modern, I guess, to say. Also, that's really all I have on that, unless you want to add to that.
Yeah. Okay, I know, I'd like to say for those people that are here visiting and representing that neighborhood, we plan on having a community engagement meeting once we go through these recommendations that were gathered by the company that put this survey together. And we'll kind of go through in our discussion today. And then at the end, you know, there'll be some time for citizen input if you want to make comments in regards to what we talked about, but I'd ask you to reserve those comments until that time. And then, like I said, we will have the citizen, the community engagement meeting where we will have some renderings of what that park should look like once we discuss through what we'd like to see. And then you'll have more chance to input at that time. So at this time, I guess I would like to get some feedback from our board members, just looking over the recommendations by the survey coordinators. And they were saying the park should include, are there any things, is there anything on there that you don't think should be included, or I'd like to get some feedback as people's opinion, board members' opinion as to items 1 through 14, if I did. Alright.
When I was going through it, I saw a lot about an accessible playground and people saying, check out X, Y, and Z parks around the area. And I don't know if that was a coordinated effort, but it sure seemed to come out a lot in the results. And so if that's the case, then I'm all for it. I also saw that shade trees and benches and parking was what I'm concerned about. Those are the things that sort of jumped out at me. For us to be aware of.
All right, and I believe if after our meeting, I did one of the renderings. They pretty much decided on parking already off of Locust, and it's kind of an in and out. I believe is it the bottom one, Ted? Are you familiar with that? or-
I'm not familiar with that. I looked at it today, but I haven't heard which one.
Okay,
One of the bottom kind of account, they see it like in and out.
and I think as far as parking along North Locust, I think that they've talked about and pretty much determined that that is the drawing that they would recommend. It's got an in and then it's got an out. An egress. What is it?
Ingress.
Ingress and egress, yeah. So I think if you look at that at the end, but parking is definitely going to be in the next lead restaurant. Anybody else? Scott?
Well, let's remember that, when that was designated, this other development wasn't included. I would like to have seen them donate a little more land. This is not a big park. You start putting in a parking lot, you start putting in gazebos, you start putting in shade trees, it eats it up pretty quick. So it'd be nice to get all this stuff, but we're not gonna be able to put all that stuff in there with the acreage we have. It's not that big. You start putting in the perimeter and you'll see it closes in pretty quick.
Ken, do you know what the acreage is?
I don't know the acreage, but I know a good footprint. If you know Locust Park across town, that is, I was told, width-wise, it's like within a foot. Lengthwise, I'm not sure, but it's very similar, it's not like a rectangle. So that's a good part to kind of look at that and see what works, what doesn't, kind of have a visual, and maybe apply that to the site here. But yeah, there's a lot of things we can do with that, but it gives you a nice footprint of how big it is.
And that is no parking.
Exactly, and that's the downfall of that. It is a neighborhood park, but now that with the shelter, I'm seeing more people use that park. And, yeah, it's a park, that shakes that down, when you put that in, yeah.
I was really surprised to see a tennis court. I mean, tennis courts are big and nobody plays tennis. I mean, everybody plays pickleball, right?
It came up a lot.
2.37 acres.
That's what you show, yeah, 2.37, it's not huge. There are two renderings on this wall too, that this is not by any means a final rendering. This was beforehand, actually about 6 weeks ago, so it's just what they had initially maybe come up with, so feel free after this meeting to get up, poke around and take a look. Anybody have any feel on a perimeter walking path? I think for maintenance, you guys like to see that.
I would love to see that, and also maybe see, not so obvious as a service road, but make it a walking path around, but then maybe make that one sidewalk wider where we can pull a boulder out, access that deep area. That's one thing with Focus we wish we had, especially with the ice storm we had. It was tough to get to those back corner trees without, we can only get so far, and it's just nice green grass there, and we don't like to drive on it, so we have to. But so that would be something that.
I guess if, looking at items 1 through 14, is there anything that anybody can see on here that you would not recommend? I agree, with Lisa, the playground should be ADA accessible, and it would be great to see some ADA fixtures, strictly for the handicapped people to, or individuals to be able to access, have a little fun. That's come up a lot lately. you know, in discussion, so. Like to see something along that line.
I was kind of concerned about noise too. I mean, if there's a tennis court back there, I worry about people that live close to that. It can be kind of a loud sport.
Tennis, yeah, well, pickleball may be louder, and I don't know how people will hear in a while, maybe how people feel about pickleball in that area. It's a popular sport. Maple Street, you know, gets a lot of activity. I don't know if, you know, we'll maybe get some feelings from the neighbors here, what they feel about tennis. Pickleball. Instead of, that's a good point, instead of having you guys wait till the very end of the meeting, I will reverse with my conscience over. I will reverse course and I think everybody has a copy then of this, and they can see, you know, items 1 through 14. What are your feelings? Bill?
I live 3 houses down.
Yeah.
In the dock development, and I'd like to address the parking issue that I think it's very essential that we have parking. Before you decide against that, you should drive down Otis today
Oh, yeah.
and see how many cars on that street. It's a kind of a bottleneck for traffic. They have to sort of slow down and let one car go through the other way. We have 2 houses on that street that probably have 15 or 16 cars between them. And they park all up and down the street. So, yeah, especially if you add pickleball, that will draw people from further away to come to the park, and they will need some place to park. I mean, it's already a real bottleneck in terms of parking.
Well, there will be.
Okay.
Anybody else?
Yeah.
Yes.
I live, like I said, right on the park line. I live like. The park is here, my house is right there. I'm really concerned about the parking. I don't know if it's gonna be on Locust or is it gonna be in next to my house?
Well, it's off Locust. But it's into the park, and I don't know.
I'm trying to figure out in that diagram, but I live.
So don't look at those. Check this one out. But
This is the one we're thinking right here.
the bottom one.
So it's just west of Locust. And I don't know what that means.
Well, it fronts on Locust. It would be in the front.
Yeah.
It fronts on Locust. This is part of the lot of the big tree.
I can see the big trees like directly across from my house.
Yeah.
It's part of the park.
Yeah, so the parking would all be all the way in front along the street.
I think the bottleneck that you're speaking of is at the very front of Locust. Yeah, right when you first come in.
No. It's right across the street.
It's right there.
I did it sometimes.
That's local.
And you know, the cars right there. Parking 1965.
So you're right across from the car,
No, right down
the street,
3 houses down.
so you would be driving on Locust.
Yes.
Parking and I.
Ryan, what's that street right?
Yes.
Down there.
Well, even in lower. That's.
Go in one way. or the other. Point, kind of, you can look at those 2 hands.
Yes, so it looks like you come in here and then you shoot out here. So it's very similar to the. No, Legacy Park. Yeah, the parking is on the road and then well, it's the park.
Did you see that? Northeast, is it 29 or 20? See that?
I'm on the 19th.
Well, those are.
That would be.
You know, that's the area.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There's one tree right here, so when you come in on Locust, this is gonna be our neighborhood, right? So if you come in here, it's gonna be like the first and second house here. So it looks like it is more closer to the open field, which is currently farmland.
That's correct.
And it looks like the parking spaces are this way.
So it's a one-way in.
That's where we're at. That, I just wanted you to understand.
All right, if we
That's the big tree.
kind of stop some of the side comments here. Ryan, I think, were you pulling that up? I guess,
Yeah, I think you've shown that guy.
Yeah, so here's the aerial, and so that drawing. Let's see here. That drawing on the wall. Is putting the parking right here.
Yep.
So as this is going north on Locust right here. And so the remainder of the park would be the deeper part back. Back behind the parking is where everything else would be.
Is that not court where everyone lives?
Yeah.
Not court.
And just to define,
My house.
That's where it's called.
Second one in.
Or then the next one over.
Parking is that.
Parking is the yellow box.
Both of those cul-de-sacs, just so that you know, they have entry roads from the middle of the cul-de-sac into the park. I don't know if they're technically fire roads, but it's actually access from the neighborhood directly into the park.
We know about that.
and as an aside, while you're looking at this picture, don't know when it was taken. But you notice, I think across my house, there's 4 cars. And that's very typical. Sometimes it's twice that many.
Jim, can I ask you a question? They're not fire. Okay. They're not fire.
So I think they're just access to the park. from the
Yeah.
neighborhood.
Yeah, those walkways.
Yes.
That's the first I've seen that walkway.
They're
Yeah, they're asphalt.
They're paid.
Yeah.
Their walkways, unless there's like a pole.
About
There's in there that they can.
It'd be a good maintenance for the maintenance.
I was thinking of that, like I was thinking about this. That's probably what he's gonna.
So that's gonna be an access to walk into the park.
Correct.
And that's right by my property too. That's my house.
That's okay. I just have to speak up and say I'm a little concerned about the parking also.
How many spots do you think available for parking?
It's at 13 or something.
13.
Oh, that's.
I think that's what it says. 12. It's not for the neighbors, it's for people going.
And they were.
Since you were at the park and rec department, is there a curfew on park, like a residential
What's
park?
the curfew at 10 o'clock?
10 o'clock on all our parks, but. Yeah, that's fair. You're posted.
It's funny, you just never notice the signs when you go to the park.
Yeah, if you're on use from the restroom or something like that. We still get people in
Is there gonna be like a fence or trees separating the park from houses right there? My house. I mean, how does it separated?
Will be something that can be requested during the community meetings.
Well, some of these houses along the southern border already have fences.
Mine doesn't. It where it comes up to the fire, the walkway we were talking about, that's all not fenced. It's just button right up against the park. Where that blue line is, that's no fence, no trees, nothing, it'll just be.
Well, those are things that we'll have to address as we go. We're not gonna make that
Yeah,
decision at this meeting, or, right? And like I say, we'll have a community engagement meeting where we can. You know, you'll see a rendering before we get to that point, and then at that meeting, when we have the rendering, if there's something that doesn't seem just right to you, then we can make adjustments at that point. If it's a fence, it might be a fence. If it's trees, it could be trees. I don't know. We're not gonna be able to make that. Yes.
Just as somebody who lives in the neighborhood, who likes pickleball, I'd kind of like to have a tennis court with stripes on it, so you can do tennis and pickleball. As long as, since the park's closed at 10, I don't know that noisy. And I also don't think we need a splash pad at this park, because there's one, a super nice one, which is very close.
The splash feature or the splash feature that we're talking about is not gonna be anything that's gonna have, features on it, like equipment or whatever. It's just gonna be ground mounted with things.
Oh, okay. So
So it's a lot smaller. You know, always with the, you know, yeah,
Really only utilize
sure,
mostly.
sure.
Or not just the sprinkler is pretty hard.
It was just a bit, and that drawing up there, let's show 2 tennis courts. But those drawings are going to be changed,
yeah,
but it will fit. It doesn't show the basketball court.
Have you had very much feedback on the pickleball courts on Maple from the neighbors there? Cause
None,
no, that's good news.
none.
You have positive.
Positive.
Like I believe it is, they don't stand on West Land or something, they closed down the pickleball.
We have court in our neighborhood, and I've talked to everybody around it, and it's just bothering me. They said that they really, one gal was saying she likes to sit in her dining room and she can watch people play out and she enjoys it, so.
Oh, that's.
yeah, I like that, yeah, and because this is gonna cost probably a whole lot of money. And we might as well have things that people.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Driving range?
I'd be over it. Okay, any other comments from neighbors right now? Because
I have to, as we're looking at all of these, I would say, I would probably not be in favor of the basketball court or a tennis court.
okay,
That's just my feedback. But I want to let you
Yeah,
know
go on.
that I'm not a pickleball
Okay.
fan, but sorry, I just wanted to
okay,
say that, but I just want to tell you also, I'm very happy that it's a park. I'm just so thrilled City of County's doing it and they're gonna have, you know, a beautiful park with a neighborhood, so it's a really positive thing.
Do you know when the community engagement meeting is
I'm
like in
trying
the
to
next
fix-
month or?
I'm trying to get it within the next 30 days.
Okay.
That's gonna be based off of the feedback that we get on these items that were provided by the HHPR. And then we'll go to the neighbors again.
And I kind of agree with you though, that not to interrupt because we have a little more, that once you start putting a lot of this stuff into the park, it's not,
What's that?
you know.
Phil?
you'll fill it out.
Yeah. That's bigger than I thought it was.
Well,
That
yeah,
seems way bigger than Locust, maybe wide it is, but so much deeper.
deeper.
Yeah, it is pretty deep. It's much deeper than it is.
I guess while we're here and we look at items for consideration 1 through 8. Can I get, is there anybody that has any feelings on those before we let you go and then we can move on with?
What is that? What is it? Dog? What is that? It's just a dog.
Do you want a dog? I mean,
Dog cat, dog park.
dog.
Dogs be in the park or
Well, they'd be involved.
Oh.
where some people live.
Oh, it's not
So Barry, just in comparison, Locust Street Park is 0.89 acres.
Oh,
Locust,
wow.
so that's a lot.
Lot.
It's a cat.
And my wife, you're in a super Locust comparison. She said it's equal to late. Yeah.
I have a question on video.
Yeah,
Thank you so much. Do we have two questions are coming up in the chat. Do we have a timeline it will take to build and be completed? And then how will residents within the area be informed as to the next meetings and community meetings and gatherings?
Ken, do you have any idea how long?
Any move is one of them.
Yeah.
It's pretty slick. It's, how old are you now?
Fourth grandkids will be playing it, yeah.
All right, it's been approved by council. It's on the CIP, the Comprehensive Improvement Plan. It was the #1 item on our Parks Master Plan, which was just approved, maybe a year ago, I guess. It is at the tops of our list to try to get completed. Now, how long that will take, it depends on all the stuff that we put in there, but I would hope that we could have it done. I'm probably sticking my foot, but by next year. It's not gonna be done this year. You couldn't do a park this year.
No way, no way,
No,
no way,
but
not even next year.
you don't even think next year?
Look how long it took us to get the gazebo in August, a year.
Yeah, that was,
But gazebos, no.
This has been 16 years, I think.
well, it's been, they're not gonna have to wait. I'm hoping that,
We shouldn't even say a time frame. We don't have.
So there's no groundbreaking even date set?
Well, what do you want a groundbreak?
You have to decide what is
Yeah.
going in the park.
Right,
first,
yeah,
and
well, that would be the
get that
community
approved,
involvement and then we
Right.
move forward from there.
And then
Yeah,
put it
I-
out to bid, and then have a contractor on board and do a groundbreaking.
Okay.
So you'll have a good idea of how to design what kind of.
so, and you'll definitely be kept informed. You have an HOA?
Yes.
Through the HOA, because when we have our community engagement meeting, we'll get the HOA from Dodds, we'll get the HOA from Auburn Farms. And we'll make sure that we keep people informed through their HOA.
Going through the third HOA now, a year and a half.
Yeah. All right,
Our HOA for Dodd Farms is Rolling Rock,
Rolling Rock.
Rolling Rock, ROLLING Rock. And they're based out of Beaverton. Thank you.
Yeah, but that's gonna change with the meeting coming up soon. They're gonna be turning it over to the residents now that the development is complete, because there's a meeting on the 29th or something to do that. We got some kind of notice in the mail about it.
My understanding is we'll be able to fill a couple of seats, but they're still going to help kind of manage us.
Oh, really? Okay.
Is there a president, I guess, Dodge Development president or a representative that we could contact directly?
Gina,
I would say Gina.
I'd say Gina.
She runs our neighborhood, she's the gosh.
Gina, can you provide us your email address?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you want to give it to us now?
I'm putting it in the chat. Is that okay?
Yes, yeah, that's fine.
Oh, there we go. Got it. That's too advanced for me, but I got it.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'd also like to probably temper some expectations, because I know, well, I don't know. But the Dodd development sounds like it might not be as kid loaded across the street at Auburn Farms. And so park was originally designed to kind of
Auburn Farms.
to house that neighborhood. Obviously, there's new neighborhoods there now. So some of the things that we're gonna be looking at is, okay, how do we service that group? So I know you've heard some things I like this and don't like this, but it's also gonna be, because I just want to play the realist of, we see this all the time of, when those people moved in, they wanted a park, and then new people moved in with like, oh, there's gonna be a park now, parking, so you kind of get this dynamic of no one's on the same page of what they really want and what the expectation should be. But it's gonna be a happy medium of, there's gonna be kids in your backyard. And they're gonna be noisy, probably, so just, so you know, there's a park in your backyard, and so that's kind of the, you know. I hope your dealer probably said there's a.
I understand that. I'm
Yeah.
just more concerned about traffic.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously, we'll do what we can to minimize that part of it. It's never,
Separation of the park from
yeah,
anyways. My house. Yeah.
yeah, so hopefully we'll keep people wandering into your cooler on your back patio.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that would be, I mean, so there's gonna be, I know this probably come up as, you know, some people might have a more chill situation, and the Alpine Farms people wanna go like, hey, I wanna turn my kids loose and let them go crazy over here. So that is gonna be the realistic situation of this team, so.
Yeah.
Hearing that, I would comment, yeah, there are a lot of kids over the Alpine Farms area that play street basketball.
Yeah.
So to say no basketball courts kind of cuts them out.
Yeah.
I mean, we will come up with a rendering of what some of the comments are, you know, from today, from what the survey showed us. And we will present to you folks at a community engagement meeting, and then you can pick it apart at that point, or, you know, give us the thumbs up and we'll move forward.
Appreciate that.
But yeah, I appreciate everybody coming today. Parking was a bigger issue than I anticipated, but I mean, that is the number one. I mean, parking along our locust, I mean, it's gonna happen. I mean, that's a must, and to get it out of your neighborhood, so. If you have no more questions or comments or whatever, we'd like to continue on with the rest of our meeting.
Thank you for having it.
Yeah, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Yeah, go ahead. You won't stop us.
Barry, maybe I'll put a piece of paper out here, and if you want to leave your contact information to get on any future lists for this part, maybe you do that.
Yeah, that's a great idea, Brian. Good idea. Good idea. All right, Ben, does anybody on the board have any more comments to make?
And then.
HHPR.
Stay.
Yeah.
Yeah, small fee.
What
was the answer to that question?
To his, right? HHPR, the company that.
Yeah.
did the survey.
I'm just thinking, depending on what it comes up, Shakespeare Park, a little bit more in, and do, they have small street parking. Yeah. Like some angle in parking as well. To kind of, because we don't have enough space, otherwise you're gonna have to do like a double loop, which is gonna take up twice the amount.
Well, you don't think, I mean,
Just shoving that in 25 feet, the parking lot, and then you have like angle parking or street
do
parking.
you think we need more than 13 spaces?
We have room.
Yeah.
I mean, we have quite a bit of space here, and I think there's gonna be. Fair, that maybe we can get a couple extra spots.
Okay.
Just, and it,
Yeah.
obviously, it's gonna depend on what goes in, because if you put pickleball, you're gonna have people coming.
Yeah.
If you have any type of splash pad, you're probably have people coming versus the walking.
Yeah.
So it kind of depends on some features that go in there as well.
Sure.
But just, I mean, if we have some, you know, I don't know how that works from the engineering standpoint, if it's, you can't do it off that street. But if
Well,
there's a way to find, you know, 3 or 4 or 5 extra spots,
We'll have to rely on our public works.
by doing that, but that might be enough.
Is
there any truth to that? Like there are in like businesses, apartment houses, stuff.
I wasn't fully listening, I'm sorry. Well,
Parking spot, how many parking spots you need for a park? Is there any?
there's definitely like I don't know that our code has a standard for parks, but there's industry standards. I don't know. off the top of my head what that is. Yeah, they get rid of.
Yeah. Okay. Any other comments in regards to the suggestions made on Auburn Farm?
So our next variant, is that, is it a community meeting or are we getting together to kind of put together somewhat of a little narrow plan and then go to the community or what?
Well, I think what I'd like to accomplish out of this meeting would be to go through these items the park should include and either say yay or nay on these items. And then items for consideration also do the same thing. And then Ken could take those back to Jerry and Jeff. And then Jerry and Jeff will take them to HHPR, and then we'll get a diagram such as this that we can take to a community engagement. So obviously, we know that parking's a key. Is a big item. The perimeter walking path around the park, I think parks maintenance people really like that, and I don't see a reason why they wouldn't do that. The CXT restroom is a restroom similar to the one that would be at, well, it's like we're ordering for community park, but it's similar to the one that's over at Timber Park, over on the south side of town. It's just it's a prefab kind of restroom that's concrete, you just go in there. And trash receptacles, to me, that just kind of goes without saying. I mean, why would we put a park in without a trash receptacle?
I think you could say that for most of the things on that list. I mean,
Really?
The the negotiable things are the playground, the toddler playground, the splash pad, tennis court, the basketball court, everything else. All of those are the 4 things that are negotiable in my mind. The rest of the things are,
Pretty much.
yeah. It's
So like trash receptacles, bike racks,
you wouldn't,
I mean-
you wouldn't a park without those things.
Right.
Otherwise, you're gonna have garbage all over the place. I mean, they just have to be. Those 4 things in the middle, those are the ones that we have to figure out.
what is everybody's feeling on, let's just kind of skip to the small splash pad.
I have a question for you, Nico.
Okay.
So I think in the past, haven't we had the community thing first with the post-its up on the board? And then we sent, in all fairness, and then we said it, I mean, we're designing the park. But yet, we're gonna have this print and they're gonna come, well, we want this, shouldn't we have the post-its first before we send it back to that?
I agree.
Well, let me answer that.
Please.
I've asked that, and I was told they wanted to have a rendering to go to the people at the community engagement. Tuesday. Our public works
Oh,
people,
perfect. Okay, that's all I have.
because I asked the same question, sorry. Playground and, well, let me go back to the splash pad before we get to, because who feels that a small splash pad would be great to have, who feels it's not necessary? Or, I guess, feelings on that,
I'd like to see it,
okay,
and it'd probably be tied in with the toddler playground too,
could be,
because I think that's more likely just kind of kids to do that.
right,
But just like what you're saying, a couple things shooting out of the ground,
right,
nothing fancy.
okay.
You're gonna have to bring water in anyways, I would think, for a drinking fountain.
Yeah.
And just go to waste, I mean, it's pretty simple.
Okay,
Well, to Scott's point, we start putting stuff in and it eats up all this area. So maybe taking those 5 things that are negotiable and prioritizing them. And we put first one in, and then how much room we have left over, we put in the next one, we have enough room, we put in the third. You can get them all in, fine, we get them all in. Can't, well,
well, I think if you see on the diagram, some of the diagrams, the
Yeah.
pre-diagrams they've done, they've already had a lot of those things.
yeah,
So you can fit it in. I guess, we're trying to decide what do we want to tell HHPR to design it so we can come up with a render? Barbara.
Can we have a general sense of the room about whether we want to have it chock full with every possible thing, let's say a lot of stuff? Or whether we want to have a smaller amount of stuff and more open play where kids can stroll around? Because I'd hate to see it become really crowded with things to do. And result in not only collisions between children going between pieces of equipment. But I don't know what the feeling of this room is. My feeling is there needs to be more open, just places where kids can run. And not trip over pieces of equipment with each other. So it's just only maybe 2 acres. That's my minus parking now. So 2, 3 total minus parking. So where are we, before we start deciding what we're gonna, everything we can put in, what we like about what we can, but I don't know how we feel about how much there are, and how to make it quick or versus play.
Well, we have, so at Locust Park, we have a lot of green open space. At Legacy Park, we have no open space, essentially it's all playground area. So maybe this one ends up being kind of a meld of the two.
She said Legacy Parks has a lot of.
Legacy's.
No, what's that?
I think Legacy has the more open space.
Sure.
That's one by Ackerman.
Right.
Yeah, but you know, well, I wasn't talking about that, I was talking about the, you know, right off the parking
Oh.
lot. So straight back from the parking lot, it's just solid equipment down to the shed.
Right, but we're not talking about playground equipment that in that magnitude, I guess. I mean, it's
Yeah,
not gonna
right.
be, it's gonna be smaller. I think a playground with handicap, with ADA, you know, ADA, design, you know, ADA designed equipment, you know, for the handicap in mind. I think, you know, you may put in one playground. But, and I think that's, you know, used by many.
I thought stuff like this is kind of cool, it's kind of hard for everybody to see, but
Oh,
it's a
yeah.
swinging. But it's like brother and sister could be in the same thing, and you know, the baby's here and then they're swinging. It's something different.
That was just like, so in Arizona, we actually we went to a park, took our grandkids to a park that had one of those, and the adult could swing on one side and the baby on the other, which was so awesome. It's like,
Yeah,
it's
something different.
It's really fun.
I think in a lot of the
Love that.
surveys that came back, they were asking not for a full-size basketball court, they were asking for a half-court basketball court. And I certainly think a lot of the surveys coming back from the people that live in the area, that's a doable thing. I would think we'd be able to put that in with a playground that's ADA accessible. Tennis court. They had 2 tennis courts there in that one. I don't know, maybe. I don't know, I'm on the fence about the tennis court.
You can put the tennis court at Maple, take one of the basketball courts out. Put it there in between the 2 playgrounds. That would be a nice spot.
Right. And would we do pickleball though? There. Yeah.
Could you do 110, and the only reason. Not that I play tennis, but now we no longer have tennis, right? So at least if we put one court in, we can check that box of, yeah, we have tennis. So if you did one tennis court, you could almost, probably another one is do if you want to do one pickleball and one half-court basketball in that same space. You could probably get away with, close to probably, of doing one tennis and then one splitting. I guess I'm coming from, okay, what's our budget? And then, once we know that budget, start out with like, how much stuff can we get in this thing? And then start peeling it back.
If you do a tennis, you can also strike it for pickleball, so then you've got a combination of the 2. A lot of people, Wilsonville did that.
Yeah.
A lot of places have done that, but as a football player, it's not great.
Get a little dizzy on the line.
No,
On
well,
the line.
it's just, it's way preferable to be on a pickleball court. Just because you chase balls down all the time on a tennis court. That's what we have in Willow Creek, is we have a tennis court that's been converted. So the net is 2 inches higher on a tennis court. than a pickleball, so you have that, which one do you go with? And then the chasing the balls all over the court, and people get frustrated with it. You know, a lot of people from our neighborhood go over to Maple Street because they're pickleball courts, and so, and I, you know, we went up to Seattle for this pickleball tournament just to watch, and there's this gigantic park. And in one area, there's these old decrepit tennis courts with two people and a squeaky, you know, I mean, it was just like that. And then we went to the other side of the park and I can't even tell you how many they converted other tennis courts over there to pickleball, and it was jam packed. There were so many people there, and it just going and going and going and playing and.
So I think you go forward
Yeah.
with this, with this community engagement meeting, maybe,
Yeah.
and their drawings show you have your option.
Yeah.
You either have a tennis court or you have maybe a couple pickleball courts.
Yeah,
But give them the option of deciding which one it's gonna be.
yeah, I agree, 100%.
Let them squeeze everything in they can, and then we'll start taking it out.
Yeah.
Right.
It eats up around the way.
Yeah,
Right.
How big is a tennis court? How big is a tennis court?
Well, it's almost the size, well, it's the same size as the pickleball courts we have now made.
How much of that space is it gonna take up?
I think in the space of the tennis court, you can get 2 pickleball.
we actually measured ours off, and I don't know if ours is different, but we measured off, we could get 3, and we're talking about
Yeah.
taking out the net and turning the court so that we could have 3 pickleball courts this way instead of the one long tennis court. So,
You can get 3 courts.
Well, theirs might have, their baselines might be, in Willow Creek Estates, that might be a large area.
yeah, maybe.
Looking at, I don't think we need to cover the playground. Have we covered any playgrounds that? If we want to open, I'm just looking at the other items for consideration, and I don't see any other items. Other than the ADA assembled playground, I don't see any other items for consideration that we would really, well. I mean,
Is there anything, what does fire need for that park? Just access, basically, wide road.
Open the parking lot.
have we given enough information, can we give to Jerry, Jeff?
I think so.
Maybe to move forward, to go back to HHPR and do a rendering so that it can be presented at a community engagement.
I think so.
Okay. All right.
Can it show a nature playground?
Nature, on nature.
Tennis courts are 78 by 27. Pickleball is 24 by 20.
Yeah, 78 by 27.
These here. So that could be like-
Well, that has to get specific. It's not that. It's not that. It's
Do
not
you
that.
need to make the structures look like trees or flowers or things?
Well, it can be either. But the more muted colors, the more natural appearance.
Okay, I like that.
And the things,
Smaller. Yeah.
and one of the things that I thought that an area that would be great for nature playground would be community park. And that playground equipment needs to be replaced anyway. And so that would be great to do a bigger nature playground.
Ooh, I like that.
And also go have the. Yeah, it's really like a nature playground. It's also good.
Ken, you wanna, are we done with Auburn Farms? For now?
Okay, next up, Maple Street Park. Hasn't really changed anything from the last time we met, still waiting on. Public Works Director, waiting direction from the city staff, that's where we're at, so. rainy day. We're adding that.
Any comments? They,
I have a comment about Maple, but I don't know if it's appropriate for now or for later. So we were at the pickleball tournaments on Monday. And the people that I was there with, so half of the court is shaded, which is beautiful and lovely, especially in this heat. But the other half is not, so it makes it kind of uneven playing because one, of the opponents. And so that happens a lot, but it's one of those things, but we were thinking it would be so great if we had another tree planted in there. That, I mean, well, like I said, we may not be alive to see it do the benefit, but that would be kind of cool. And the other thing is the sprinklers on the farther away side from the parking lot, spray that end court. And we were wondering if maybe the sprinklers could be adjusted. My husband adjusts our sprinklers all the time to maybe make it so they don't spray on the court. 'Cause
Yeah,
that's kind of a
last
safety
year's deal
issue.
too. I know they had problems with that. I'll have to look at that again,
Okay.
see if I can dial that down, see what kind of style sprinkler it is. Sometimes you can
Yes.
adjust the radius, what do you call it that.
You're getting,
I'll just see what style it is.
Yeah, my husband does that all the time. But
you're
anyway,
getting that in minutes so that Ken's got something to reference.
Yeah, I thought we had it, but it's something, so he's got out of whack.
yeah.
I'll look at it again.
Okay. Can I ask a question about, Maple Street? What does that have to do with? that?
Okay, so-
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah, as far as what we're waiting for.
Yeah.
It's just the, you guys proposed what, a good 6 months?
There's a proposal that we've had in place for 6 months or whatever, but to turf the 2 infields at Maple Street Park. And it's also lighting, and it's also resurfacing or fixing the walkway that goes around Maple Street Park. So repairing any walkway.
And that is in the budget for this year, and then next year would be.
I'm gonna assume that if it's not done now, that we're shot this year.
Pretty close.
Time-wise. Time-wise, it's reaching.
I would like to see it done, started January, or July, but it is what it is.
How long is the project supposed to take? I mean, is it a month or?
If they got started by September 1, they would.
If they started it,
The problem is, what if we get rain? That's what happened at the high school. And they sat there, so.
if they started it by September 1, they could have it done by the start of next season, for this season 2024, April.
Was it like no rain, perfect weather?
It's gotta be bone dry.
Okay, what I'm saying, it is. Yeah. How long would it take? I mean,
I
is
would
it
imagine the way things go, 2 months.
Okay.
I think the
It's never
concern
gonna
is
happen.
not the project itself, it's the ground that they tear up next to it, having it ready. Because everybody starts in the spring, if that's still torn up and hasn't had a chance to regrow, then you have a muddy mess. You have a great turf field and then you have 30 feet just mud. So that's kind of the timeframe I think that we're trying to shoot for, is to get that grass going and so it's ready to go for next spring.
We got a master grass grower though.
Well, we were hoping that it would be done by October 10th at the latest. Then you've got all fall for the grass to grow in, everything to settle down, firm up, then we're ready to go.
Okay.
2025?
Plus,
The outdoor exercise court next. Still waiting on that as far as. City Hall and how to go on that, so kind of a limbo on that too.
let me ask a question, because I got an email. They were supposed to have a meeting in regards to the outdoor fitness court. and then that meeting was canceled. Can I ask why the meeting was canceled?
You
I- You know?
No, I don't know.
Oh, maybe that's
No, no, I don't think I was gonna do that, so.
okay.
Okay, next on the list, the Parks and Recreation website.
Yes. Do you want to talk about it? About our meeting, or do you want me? to? Okay. So, maybe you want, to. Go ahead. Go ahead. Yes.
Yes, we had a very great meeting last week, 2 weeks, I can't remember. What it was.
Couple of weeks.
But we gave Matt Ryan some points. I believe he is going to be putting those together. We're meeting again on the
It's the
30th.
30th.
On the 30th of August, to kind of see what we talked about, and he's gonna put together a little sample, I believe, correct?
Yeah, we're gonna mock up basically what the subcommittee talked about as far as layout for the website, so it won't be something that's live. It'll just be a mock-up that you can look at and further refine.
Oh, yeah. And it wasn't, we didn't reinvent the wheel, and that's by any means, we kind of looked at some of the samples, I think that they all went out to everybody.
Right.
Who was it? Corvallis, Horse Grove.
Well,
Yeah, so there are 4 or 5 that we looked at, and we just kind of took the best feature of the beach and kind of put them in ours, and now, wait and see what that looks like,
And some of the stuff is in the ecosystem of our website already. It's about pulling it all together and making it cleaner and more user friendly.
good, good, yeah. Any questions on that? Okay, moving on, new business, I didn't have any at the time, but city staff update. Brian and Jim, do you have anything that you want to report out to us?
Well, I am not city staff, but
No, but you are our liaison, so I'm asking as a liaison,
okay, and so you might want to put
maybe I'll,
Jim Davis city liaison, not staff, not staff.
I will change that.
Yeah, thank you. Let's see, things going on. First of all, Maple Street Park. I'm working with Eileen on that. We appreciate people being patient. You have to understand that there's been a lot of changeover at City Hall. And a lot of the wait period was with the old city administrator. This city administrator is working diligently to do these projects for it. I feel very confident that she's on top of this with my meetings with her. She understands the timelines, and so be patient with that. And please don't hold the city staff today responsible for the lack of what was done by prior administration. Okay, so I think the city staff is doing a good job. I'm also gonna write Eileen an email too, that hopefully city staff that attends these meetings are prepared for these meetings to report to you and not try to pass the buck back up to the city administrator, because the city staff has responsible to do their job and to stay on top of these projects. Okay, so I'm going to work with Eileen on that, but I feel very confident that she's on top of this. And again, you know, these projects were held up with the change of administration, COVID, and everything else. So I think that, frankly, she's doing a real good job with these. So I'll continue to stay on this project, the Maple Street Park project and stuff. But as a city councilor, it's not my job to do city staff work. Okay, it's the city staff and city administrator to keep us informed as far as how the projects are going. Okay, so we're going to be working on that. The comprehensive plan is being updated as we speak. We have more information coming to us tomorrow night at the city council meeting for the comprehensive plan, which is huge, because if we get into the comprehensive plan, you know, they're going to be dealing with potentials, not only of development, but where parks are going to happen and things like that. And that's where input from this committee is going to be important. as we move forward on how that looks. Because when we look about athletic fields, for instance, in Cogeo, you know, if we can, you know, hopefully not be behind the curve, but ahead of the curve next time. And a comprehensive plan for future parks, future athletic fields and things like that. Those things are gonna be important in the comprehensive plan. So, you know, more to come. I'll keep you guys informed as far as when it's important for you to have input to the comprehensive plan for those type of complex, because get kind of frustrated. Why are we always behind the curve in regards to parks, park space, hotels, athletic fields, things like that? We have to get ahead of the curve, and that's just good planning. So, and Don Hardy's doing a really good job with that, with the comprehensive plan too. So we're working on that as well. You know, this, I'm real pleased with the amount of items that the city staff is presenting to the city council. We're getting a lot of stuff done, and we're actually getting caught up on a lot of prior projects that were delayed. And just remember, there's a lot more happening in City Hall than Maple Street Park. There's a lot more happening than just Maple Street Park. And so, you know, just be patient. I am staying on top of that project with Eileen, as well as other parks projects. Now, in regards to Cogeo, we've been in conversation, as well as Barry probably has been, with Patrick, but he's out on the speaking circuit, and he's also talking about some other pieces of property. But I feel real confident that the presentation on the state park did what we wanted it to do, and that was to create some interest. You know, because now people are really starting to talk about where is a good spot with these athletic fields. It's not at the state park. Where's a good spot for these athletic fields to go? And Patrick is working on that as well. But we have to keep, you as the committee and the city council, we need to keep that moving. We need to keep it in front of people so that those fields happen. That's really, really important for us to get those athletic fields here in town, because not only is it going to be good for the community, it's going to be good for the downtown businesses as well. You know, by improving business downtown, and then if we can get a motel to go along with that, or 2 motels, that will really help downtown businesses too. Anyway, that's about it, unless you guys have a question for me.
Yeah, I have a question. Is there anything that we can do as a board to get the city to be more aware of? We have parks, our parks are getting better and better. We are the city of parks. I think I think parks, let alone the board. So I think parks are not very well, known very well, including to new residents and including some people that have been around here for 20 years and they still think we only have 4 parks. So is there anything that, do we need to work a little harder at how to be well known when there's our parks? Or do we just let it?
I can take that back to Eileen. I mean, it's a good point, you know.
I think the website.
And the website. Yeah.
Will help.
And not only that, but the amount of work that your committee is getting done is outstanding. It's really good work.
Because we're outstanding.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you should feel good. I mean, I was on this committee for a while, and I referred it to the toilet bowl, never went down. You know, we went round and round and round and round and never got anything done, and you guys are getting a lot of stuff done. You should feel good about that.
I think the word's getting out too, just being out there. You start talking to people and where you're from, or most of them are from Oregon City. A lot of people like to do the logging road path because they don't have that type of thing in their town. And so they come to a whole other city, and or they like, because our parks are clean to them. Whatever city they came from, they said it's not as clean. So it's nice to hear those comments. So those are out of towners. So it's showing that they're finding them. But you know, it's word's getting around.
You know, I run that Friends of Canby Parks Facebook group, and we have almost 500 members now. And I started a very, and I talked about like profiling a park every so often. And we started doing it and we got kind of sidetracked by the arts in the park. And so I certainly could go back and do that, get back on that track, and like every month or so, you know, go and take pictures at a park and just do a little profile on it. I'd like to do that.
And to go with that too, in 11 years I've been with the Parks Department, I've seen past 2 years of growth in the parks of usage, just because of we're ordering more toilet paper, we're ordering more coffee, new things. So they're being used, which is great.
Yeah.
You don't have. Good. Mary?
Yeah. Well, I'm here as a representative of the Community Task Force of Suicide Prevention. We have had signs made, you may have seen them around town. And on one side, it says you are not alone. And the other side, need to talk, and both sides have the new number for mental health crisis 988. Would like to have the permission of this committee to put those signs up in the parks. We are acutely aware that one of the problems is the maintenance, to keep them out of the way of the maintenance crew. So if we keep that in mind, and would it be okay if you put the signs in the parks?
Yeah, that would be a big concern before with
Right.
not just any sign, grass still signs, you know,
Right.
it does take time to pull them out and stuff, so to keep that in mind,
Absolutely.
like not in the grass. or
Exactly. Yeah, because I know you have to know.
I know it's kind of tough to stick something in the ground, it's not grass, but,
Well, where there's a filters.
yeah, but yeah, I appreciate that,
Yeah.
I appreciate that, if you keep that in mind,
Yeah,
it helps us a lot.
so, if there is a problem with it, Kara knows how to get in touch. Information with you, and you can just call, because I'll probably be the one.
Yeah, if there's a space where there's a park bed or something like that.
Yeah.
but if you can't,
Yeah.
I can.
Like if I mean, I think it's up to these guys, they're in charge over us.
Right.
But Mary, like Maple Street for that Senate room where all the California lilac is, if you put one there, people see it when they first come in, that's not gonna affect anybody. They put
That's a good spot, so, yeah,
Okay.
that kind of stuff.
yeah, things like that.
Perfect. So I just wanted to make sure that it's, oh, yeah, I'll be very mindful about it.
I appreciate you thinking that.
Yeah, and if any of you want to put one in your card. Well, thank you very much.
Oh,
Thank
you're welcome.
you, Mary.
Thanks for your patience.
Oh, it was interesting. I love listening to all this conversation. Good. And, it's nice to be spent here.
We think parks are really good for mental health.
They are, absolutely. Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
Karen,
Okay,
your 5 minutes.
so my 5 minutes, so I, at Terry's suggestion, when I talked about having the program where you can donate a tree to the city to be planted somewhere, okay, and Terry suggested that Westland has a program. And so I went onto their website, and yes, indeed they do, and I printed out all the pages from it. They described the program. They have like a menu of items, like you can do a bench or a picnic table. I don't know if we want to do stuff like that. But I was kind of thinking like that art park, they talked about wanting a picnic table over there. What if somebody donated it and, had a little, brass plaque put on it? The picnic table is $1,200. But, so I'm sure they have a provider and all of that stuff, and their costs to installing it is probably included in that. But then they also have the trees. The trees are approximately $750. It says blah, blah, blah. They will work with the donator, the person who donates, to choose the location and the approved through communication between park staff and the contributor, an approved species will be chosen based on the desired planting site, and then talks about the other specifications about the trees. And then those also have a little plaque with them. And then this talks about the whole program, are these 2 pages, and then they have an application here. And so, I mean, it, $750 does seem like a lot, but for my purposes, I would pay that. To have that be a tree that was growing in memoriam of my loved one, I would pay that. And that would make me feel really good and connected, and a place to go to, that. So I think I'm probably not alone. So,
And we talked about last time that it could be used in the new park.
right, exactly. I mean, I was even thinking of pickleball.
Cut down some costs.
Exactly, cut down some costs for the city, and
That isn't gonna be run through us by this Parks Board, it's
No.
gonna need to go to. the
Correct.
Parks.
through the city would have to
Yes.
run it.
Right.
But that was my homework to get some more information, that's what I.
You might give that to Ken to take.
You can get a copy of it.
Yeah, if we,
Percent.
yeah, maybe you can make a couple copies and give one to Lisa and one
Yeah,
to me,
you bet.
thank you.
Something.
Anyway, that's fine, I told you,
I like it.
I like it too. And I like that they have it all kind of set out for us, we don't have to do anything except for adopt it.
It would be fine if they were going to. If they're gonna buy the tree, and we'll cut down the cost.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
moving forward.
And a bench if they wanna.
Right.
Well, those benches along the library don't have tags on. them.
Yeah, exactly. So there had to have been something, done like that too. So, yeah, and the new park, they have benches scheduled to go in there, picnic table over at our park, I mean, wherever we need them. And and again, I could use the Friends of Canby Parks page which I always share on Facebook, that's reaches a lot of people. To solicit, say, hey, we have this spot, it needs a tree, if you'd like to donate a tree in memoriam or just in celebration. Somebody graduates from college, let's plant a tree, somebody gets married, let's watch this tree grow as we watch their marriage grow, that kind of thing. I mean, I think that it gives me goosebumps, I think it's a cool idea. I mean, but I'm a tree gal, so,
So we
What
could
if the
take
marriage
it.
doesn't work out?
well, I'm sure somebody would want to.
All right. Are there any other comments?
Going back to that though,
Oh.
this is probably something we want to take to council for their approval, right, Jim?
Well,
Something
it's
that-
gotta come from Jerry, from
Yeah.
Public
Yeah.
Works to
What we would
council,
eventually do.
staff, to the city administrator and the council.
Does the sign of this type of memorial sign fall into the category of signs and the need for city clearing signs? What am I missing?
No, it's just a little tag.
When is a sign a sign?
Yeah, so just a little.
To the plaque. It's gonna bring it to the call it a plaque.
We'll just take a copper penny and pound it into the tree.
There you go.
It might be one of your action items for either Ken or Jared.
I hate to make work for you, but.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I made this too, Jerry.
Yeah, anything else?
Just an update, community park, and I don't know if you guys had a chance to fix that fence down there at the
Yeah.
river.
We did, yeah, we found out, I didn't know exactly what happened, we thought it was vandals, we have, the gentleman that owns that property is calling me all the time about how can we keep people going over there, and finally got a little bit through to him that I can't, just because they park in our parking lot, I
Right.
can't control it from there.
Right.
So I thought it was them, somebody going back there, we fixed it, and actually posted a couple more signs of no trespass.
Good, good. Yeah, we continue to have drownings up there and possible drownings in the state hole. And of course, the people, if they want up there, they're gonna go up there, but as long as it's properly posted, then it becomes county property. So then it's a county sheriff to go out and enforce it, stuff like that, but just trying to do the best we can, because there's a couple holes up there that and they put a rope swing up and stuff like that, but it's much, much deeper than they know. And in this particular case, there are 3 older teenagers that don't know how to swim, and they got themselves all 3 in this hole. And fortunately, a nurse and a lifeguard were coming down the path the other direction, heard the screams. And the lifeguard basically helped the first 2 people out, and then went down and had to find the 3rd person who's basically dead, and brought him up, and they started CPR between our people, and those people, they saved a young man's life. And so we're gonna recognize those people that actually pulled them up.
Yeah.
But that's the 4th time I've been up there on drownings. This first sick, the other ones both died. So
Wow.
just trying to figure out, you know, that where that property owner, somebody needs to report those people and start getting fines put out for trespassing or something. You
How
know,
far from the park is it?
it's a good hike up there. Yeah, it's a couple football fields.
It's upriver.
Yep, upriver.
It's kind of across from that concrete. Yeah, I don't know if that concrete wall is, so there used to be like a big kind of concrete wall. that
Yeah,
was-
I haven't recognized
Around
that.
that corner.
Yeah, but it's quite a ways up the path to get up to it and stuff. We floated him down actually it's kind of like a raft. thing. And so, but anyway, I know that you guys are gonna go up there and fix that fence.
Yeah, sure did.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, hopefully, you know, we can put up some other signs like other video surveillance, even though it's not just trying to think maybe I'll go back there. I don't know. We're sorry. I got the- Try over there. You put the fake camera up there. Yeah. That, it's a good point. Look at that. I don't think that we should do that. Thank you. Good point.
Anything else? All right, can I get a motion to adjourn this meeting?
Motion we adjourn.
Second.
Karen Hawkins, second. Motion to adjourn. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Right, motion to adjourn. The next meeting will be September the 19th at 6:30.
All right, I like that. You're very smart.
Lisa,
Mary's.
you want me to scan the interest list and then email it to you?
Sure.
Okay.
I better keep those.